What's good, y'all? I already know where y'all at. It's your boy Star Jones, and it's a new episode of Star Views. It's about to start right now. So please, I hope you got your hookah ready, and I hope you got your cups full of whatever ready, because I got a lot to talk about, alright? Know what's going on. Star Jones, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already done so. Please and thanks, you heard? What's good, y'all? Y'all already know it's your man Star Jones. And we are on yet another episode of Star Views, and it brings me a lot of excitement because this is also another film that I've been looking forward to talking about for some time. And that movie is Justice League Snyder Cut. Yes! I know some of y'all at home like Justice League, that came out already. Yeah, it did. In fact, it came out in 2017. It was directed by Joss Whedon? Joss Whedon? So pretty much, matter of fact, I'm going to be right back. I'm going to cook this hookah. When I come back, I'm going to give you a little background on what happened with the original movie. And, you know what I'm saying, then, we're going to jump right into exactly what the movie's about, alright? So just give me 2 seconds. I'll be back in a minute, alright? Now I got to get the hookah ready. Blueberry Great Mint don't miss. I'm trying to tell you, man. Take your hookah notes. But anyway, Justice League Snyder Cut. So before I get into the 2021 release, I'm going to just give you a little background on the movie that came out in 2017, as I mentioned. So Justice League came out back in 2017, starring Ben Affleck, Gal Gadot, Henry Cavill, Ray Fisher, who plays Cyborg. You know what I'm saying? Jason Momoa. And the whole original cast, that we seen back in 2017. So the backstory on the film is, because I'm sure the not so familiar fan of DCEU movies are like, well, we've seen this already. Why is it coming out again? Back in 2017, well, prior to 2017, that's when the movie was released. Zack Snyder was the original director for the film. They had already started shooting the movie. They was in production already, and unfortunately, his daughter passed away from suicide. So due to this, Zack Snyder pulled himself away from the film, thus leaving the film in somewhat of a limbo. So they didn't have a director. So what Warner Brothers did, they reached out to Joss Whedon. Apologies if I'm butchering your name. I'm not really good at names. But anywho, so Joss Whedon took over for Zack Snyder. So production went on as it was, and the movie was released in 2017. Once the movie came out, unfortunately, like most DCEU movies, and I'm sure Bruce is not going to like this, they're not that good. They haven't been received well. The reception from the public is not normally good. So, in typical DCEU fashion, Justice League also was not that good. At least, right, from my recollection, when I first seen the movie, I was very disappointed because my favorite superhero is Batman, if y'all didn't realize by now at this point. But I was disappointed, and in all honesty, I hadn't rewatched Justice League, the original release, since I seen it in the theaters up until a couple weeks ago, because I wanted to refresh myself and do my due diligence before I actually watched the Snyder Cut. So with the Snyder Cut, it's pretty much what Zack Snyder shot before he pulled himself away from the film, and then when he took over again. Because again, the public was asking for it. A lot of the fans was asking for it. They went to Twitter. There was petition signed, all type of wild shit for this movie to be made and completed, just because that's how disappointed the public was. And that was something that, the public made it abundantly clear that, we need something else, because this isn't it. And this was during, the whole MCU takeover. All the MCU movies was coming out, so of course DC wanted something to compete. So with that said, again, Zack Snyder took over. They brought back the entire cast and they shot the movie. So that's a little background. I'm gonna smoke some hookah real quick, and then we're gonna get into what the movie's about for those who hadn't even seen the first film. But I will disclaim right now that the approach was totally different from Josh's point of view and Zach's point of view. So I'm gonna just put that out there right now. So I'm gonna smoke this hookah. I'll be back in 2 seconds. You know the drill. Smoke with me. Welcome back, folks. So, Justice League. As I mentioned, before I really get into Zack Snyder's version of the film, I just want to talk about the 2017 just a little bit, because there are major differences between the two films. But the basic premise of the film is the same. We have Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, all of these big superheroes pretty much doing their own thing and then ultimately having to band together to fight the antagonist of the film. Steppenwolf, again, is the big baddie in the beginning, initially. This is not a spoiler. Because again, like I always try to tell you guys, I don't want to ruin the movie for you if you haven't seen it. So I just want to give you guys like an overview of the film. So yeah, Steppenwolf is the big baddie. And in the original film that came out in 2017, he was the only baddie. There were references to someone by the name of Darkseid, but we never saw Darkseid. We didn't get any hints of what he looked like or anything, or what his, I guess, true power was and his ultimate intent. Because again, we didn't see him in the original 2017 release. Where in this movie, we actually get to see Darkseid. And for those who, again, who isn't the more versed and knowledgeable of the DC universe, whether it be comic books, TV shows, or whatever, Darkseid is like the DC equivalent to Marvel's Thanos. How everybody, Marvel built up, all this shit for the big battle versus Thanos. Darkseid is that equivalent in DC. So in this film, they made it a point of building up towards Darkseid. And again, I'm not going to give you any spoilers, but at some point in the film, we're going to see Darkseid and see how much of an impactful force he is for our heroes in the film. So the premise overall is pretty much the same. Like I said, reiterated. We see our heroes, they're all doing their own thing, and ultimately they have to band together to fight Steppenwolf, who's ultimately trying to bring Darkseid into the film and, take over Earth. Earth has something that they need, and these are what's called the Mother Boxes. The Mother Boxes is also something that's relative to what Thanos was doing with the Infinity Gauntlet and the Infinity Stones. So with these 3 Mother Boxes, they're scattered across the planet, and different races of people on Earth have them. The human beings, the Atlanteans, that's Aquaman and his peoples, and I can't remember the name of Wonder Woman's peoples, but they also have the 3rd Mother Box. So throughout the film, Steppenwolf is looking for these Mother Boxes to unite them to ultimately get the power needed and to have Darkseid come to Earth and take shit over. So that's pretty much the film. And the original film in 2017, the theatrical release, was 2 hours and some change. Zack Snyder's film is actually 4 hours and 2 minutes. I started watching the movie at 8:30 p.m. and I finished around like 12:45 or something like that. I ran a couple scenes back because I just wanted to see things over and over again. So I ran over a little over 4 hours. So this film is definitely not for like the casual movie watcher, just because you have to have quite the attention span to sit for 4 hours. So with that said, that's pretty much the movie, the premise. So it's not too much differences between the 2017 release and Zack Snyder's 2021 release. So you could go into it like, all right, well, I know enough. So, you don't feel like you have to watch the 2017 version. But I think, like, if you just want to do your due diligence, I think you should. Because, again, I haven't seen the 2017 release since it came out in theaters. Again, because I didn't fuck with the original release like that. So, here we are. 2021 Zack Snyder's film. It's on HBO Max, so check it out if you haven't done so. I'm going to, smoke a little bit more hookah like I always do. You know what I'm saying? I hope you guys are joining me. And when I come back, I'm going to give you my rating, my pros and cons on the film, why it's being rated the way it is. So I'll be back in a second. Alright? So now, the time you all been waiting for, where to start when to rate this film. But before I do any of that, I just want to quickly shout out to everybody that actually reached out to me beforehand when I started promoting the fact that I was going to put a video out, a new episode of Star Views, who hit me and was like, Star, I got to know how you feel about it. So I just want to shout you guys out. Appreciate that. But also, before I actually give the rating, you know I got to give the pros and cons of the film. And because this is, I guess, retcon of the film that came out in 2017, I'm just going to give a little breakdown and the differences between the 2017 release and this one, Zack Snyder's release. So in 2017, that film was rated PG-13, and I'm a rated R movie kind of guy. I'm gonna be honest. I just love the tonality of savagery and seriousness and high levels of severity and consequences and ramifications for things that our characters do. And I think with rated R films, you can really be as intense as possible without having to scale things back. So the 2017 release was rated PG-13, and this one is rated R. So that was one of the major differences in the film. Something else that stood out was Zack Snyder made it a point of like extending scenes, where in the first film we had the same scene, but it was shorter. Where in this film, the Zack Snyder release, it was more stretched out. They gave us more details. They gave us more background. You saw more characters involved. So that was something else that was very potent to me that, you know, stood out. They also gave more of a backstory for Cyborg in this film, in Zack Snyder's version. I think that was also cool. And for those who know me well, know how much I love football and how I played football my entire life. And shout out to Ray Fisher who played Cyborg. He also played football, Cyborg, in the film. And that was cool. It was good to see. The football sequence seemed realistic too. Usually with movies and they have football scenes, the choreography and the way the players move doesn't really seem too authentic, but they did a good job of making it seem realistic and authentic. So for the football players that's actually watching this film, I actually appreciate that too. So it was good to actually see Cyborg's background as opposed to like them jumping over points in his background, because we know, if you know Cyborg's story, he was on the brink of death and his father had to bring him back. That's not a spoiler. You couldn't find that out on Wikipedia or something like that. So that was also good, and I appreciated that Zack Snyder did, because the first film that came out in 2017 didn't touch on that too slick. We also got a little bit more background on Barry Allen. That's Flash. I think they could have gave him a little bit more of a backstory, but I think it was cool. I guess the film would have been even longer had they did that. So it worked out, but I think they did a good enough job of that. And again, like I said, in the 2017 release, they didn't really touch on Cyborg's background too much. They didn't dive into too deep, you know what I'm saying? So that was something else I took away from the Zack Snyder film that I appreciated. Also, they actually introduced us to another member of the Justice League that we didn't see at all in the original 2017 release. I'm not going to tell you who that is, you just got to watch. But there is another member of the Justice League that makes an appearance in the Zack Snyder film, in Zack Snyder's version of the film. So I think that was also cool. Because when we first seen him on screen, I was like, so he comes out of nowhere? But they touch on it again in the latter part of the film, so I think that's cool. And again, like I said, I don't want to ruin it for anyone. And the movie was, like I said, the movie was rated R, man. So I think Zack Snyder was able to really show the dark side of DC. You know what I'm saying? The intense side of DC. So that for me, that was very, very good. Now, one of the things I don't like about the film, and it's not so much on the film too much, but Zack Snyder, the director, has came out and said that this is not canon. So I feel like everything that was done in this film opened up windows for the DCE universe. I feel like there's so much that they can build off now because of how long this film was. Again, 4 hours and 2 minutes. And how much they gave us. I feel like the window of opportunity is super open, OD open, you feel what I'm saying? So, but again, for those who don't know what canon means pretty much it never happened. If a movie or a comic book or a cartoon, if it's like a franchise and they say it's not canon, that means it's not in the actual timeline of what's going on. So that's why I'm a little disappointed, because now if it's not canon, that means everything that happened in the first film in 2017 was canon. And after watching Zack Snyder's version, it's a lot of omissions between the two films. In the 2017 release, it was only 2 hours, so it was a lot of things. It was 2 hours worth of material missing. You know what I'm saying? So ultimately, the canon version, they would have to answer a lot of questions moving forward, because technically we didn't see these things. So how Warner Brothers decides to go with this is up in the air. If they decide to keep the Snyder Cut and make it canon, I think the public would love it that much more. But this is confirmed. Y'all can fact check me. Y'all can look it up. Zack Snyder said it out his own mouth. My film is not canon. So that was a little disheartening for me, and it kind of left me in a rough place once I found that out, because it was just kind of like, damn, like, it's like a buzzkill. It's like, alright, boom, finally, because again, as I mentioned earlier, the fans don't love these DC movies. They really don't. So, you know, finally, I think this is something that fans will like and will enjoy and will gravitate towards and want more from, but it's not canon. And I know that the regular movie watcher, the casual movie watcher at home is like, who cares? The movie was what it was. But again, that's my take on it, you know what I'm saying? But I'm going to get into the rating, and I'm going to tell you this much. Before I actually give you the rating for this film, I will say this. Because again, I mentioned earlier that I watched the 2017 version again for the first time about 2 weeks ago. And when I rewatched it, after I watched it, I was like, this is actually not as bad as I remember. My recollection was off, because, you know, it really wasn't that bad. Was it great? No, it wasn't great. It wasn't fire. It wasn't elite. It was no shit that I would recommend someone going to see. But it really wasn't that bad. So now, with that said, the Zack Snyder version, boy, I'm going to give this film, let me put my cup down. I'm going to give this movie 8 stars. 8 stars. So far, the movies that I've reviewed this year, a lot of the movies that I've seen this year, this is one of the better films I've seen. So, this gives me hope for the DCEU, as long as they make this movie canon. So, stars giving this 8 stars, star rating. So, if you haven't seen this film already, please be sure to do so. Alright? And in closing, I'm going to smoke some hookah, and I'm going to be back in 2 seconds. Alright? Damn, I made a good hookah, boy. So in closing, folks, Justice League, Snyder Cut, 8 stars. I think this film was very good. I think the fact that they made it rated R and Zack Snyder was able to do exactly what it is that he wanted to do, I think it was really good. I think it was very good. Could it have been better? Sure, but you know, it was cool. Another thing that I failed to mention before was the extended epilogue, which fed off the post-credit scene at the end of the 2017 version. Was cool because it also introduces a couple other characters, the villains, to expect in the future. So that also was cool. So 8 stars, man. Like I walked away from this film tired and exhausted because again it was 4 hours and 2 minutes, but it was worth the 4 hours. If you can actually sit through this film, I think you'll walk away feeling a lot better than you did when you watched the 2017 version. So be sure to check it out. You're welcome. Again, hopefully I didn't ruin nothing for y'all, because again, I'm making a point and a habit not to spoil anything for you guys. And I will always tell you guys up front if I'm going to spoil something. So hopefully you guys can walk into this film and sit on your couch and enjoy it thoroughly, you know, with my voice in your head, like, yeah, damn, Star said this shit different. So, you know what I'm saying? The next time you guys will see me will be very soon. Godzilla vs. King Kong. That's coming out March 31st. It's also going to be on HBO Max, so if you don't have access, I suggest you get it. This is also a film that I personally am looking forward to talking about. I've been a fan of Godzilla since I was a kid. Again, I've always been into like dinosaurs and shit like that. So this is something I sound redundant and repetitive, but it is what it is. But I'm looking forward to it. So you guys will see me very soon, probably in about a week and change. So stay tuned. That'll be episode 4. I'm Star Jones. That's my time, folks. Oh, y'all still here? Appreciate y'all for sticking around, man. But I don't got no more hookah. But what I do have is more content on my YouTube channel. So please, if you haven't done so already, hit that red button and subscribe. Hit the bell so you get notified as soon as I post anything. All right? And if you haven't already followed me on social media, here's my information. Make sure y'all follow up. Appreciate it. Y'all still here, man. That's valid. Have a good one.